April 12th, and let's do an update. This trellis is 43.5 inches tall, and some of the shorter of the big variety are the Kong, which is 62 inches and 1.6 meters, and the Russian Mammoth, 59 inches, 1.5 meters. And this is 55 days after sprouting. This is a kind of discouraging development that just happened today. Apparently the sugar snap peas are too tall for the trellis and they broke. You can see the stem there. Obviously they should have been on a taller trellis. This trellis is only maybe 2.5 feet tall. I don't know if the upper portion of them with all the blossoms and seed pods are going to brown out and die, or if they'll survive. I don't know. Well, it's the middle of April, April 15th to be exact. Sugar snap peas over the last several days, even before the storm last night, they were a good couple feet taller than this short trellis, and they broke. Some of them broke one day, and the rest of them broke the following day due to wind. But strangely, even though the stem is kinked, for lack of a better word, it hasn't killed the part of the plant above that. As you can see here, they've resumed their upward growth from the point where they fell down. So I guess they're going to be okay. They're blooming, and they've got some small pods here. The crookneck squash has been blooming for at least a week. It's got some tiny little squashes on there, but the plant seems awfully small to be doing that already. And I've wondered if maybe I should clip them off and let it grow some more, but I just don't know the answer to that. Here's some more of the crookneck, and you can see it's got little squashes growing on it, and it's blooming. These were planted February 17th, and today is April, so it's like a couple months old. I've expected them to be more of a vining plant than they are, at least to this point. It's kind of a stocky thing. Maybe they don't vine, but I was planning to train it on the trellis some. I don't know if that's going to work out, because they just aren't vining. On this same trellis, I've got, with the crookneck squash, I've got sweet million cherry tomatoes and straight 8 cucumbers. Now, I know the straight 8s are going to vine. I grew some of those last year. It's kind of a drag about the sugar snap peas breaking like they did. I was worried about it when they were getting so tall. A little bit of wind pushed them over, but like I said, even the part that is beyond the kink seems to be doing okay. The trellis in front of the sunflowers here is 43.5 inches tall. The tallest of the sunflowers, which were planted 9 weeks ago, the tallest is 76 inches, 6.3 feet. And that's a average of 1.3 inches or 3.3 centimeters per day since they sprouted 55 days ago. And I've learned something. I had probably half of them staked, started out staking the tallest, the ones that were ahead of the pack. And I've learned that that might not be a good idea. So apparently the ones that were staked are somewhat dependent on that staking. They don't support themselves as well as the ones that have never been staked. I had some of the Velcro tie come loose, and it was raining, so they had a little extra weight. But the ones that were staked or had been staked that came loose drooped over, whereas the ones that were never staked didn't. These sugar baby watermelons were planted the same day as the sunflowers 9 weeks ago, and they've begun to sound out runners, which I'm training to go over this wall. I'm planning to let them spread out beyond the wall and not in the main part of the garden. This was my original trellis, which I built last summer. The first one, it's about 6 feet tall. And a couple of days ago, I planted some soaked pole beans and sugar snap peas. And as you can see here, this morning they have started to sprout. They're poking their heads up, and they've got a good home and a good trellis to grow on. Very unusually cool for middle of April in this part of the country. It's like 58 degrees and cloudy, and just had the rain come through and a cold front. Don't expect to see this kind of weather much more between now and November, unfortunately. A couple of these marigolds got knocked over in the storm, rain, whatever, last night, this morning, and I've staked them. They were pretty much laying on the ground. I didn't think they would be able to get up on their own. The radishes, last line of radishes that I planted here, I don't know if they're going to make it, but I have learned from one of the YouTube videos I watched about radishes that it may be the problem. This is the second row. I've got plenty of foliage, and I've got some radishes, but more foliage than radishes. And one person expressed the view that that can happen if you use too much fertilizer. Well, I amended this entire plot pretty well before I started planting, and that may be the problem if radishes don't like, or they don't produce radishes very well if they get too much nutrition. They just make leaves, and some of these are pretty big. If I was after foliage, I did pretty well with those. The sweet million tomatoes that I've got planted on the tall trellis have now reached height enough where I can start training them on the trellis. The bottom of the netting here, is I don't know, I haven't measured it. Looks like it's about a foot off the ground, and finally it's reached up there far enough to get them. This is one of the marigolds that I planted. I didn't expect to see red and yellow, but it's a marigold. I started putting in some drip irrigation this week, and I've got all the main lines out, I believe, that I'm going to put out, and started putting a few of the drip lines in. Yeah, I got a lot left to do in that regard, but I got most of the materials as hand-me-downs. It didn't cost me much money, so I figured I'd put it to use. You got lima beans and zinnias. There's a lima bean. I planted a few more this morning. I think that this, I don't know how big this lima beans and bush beans will get. But I don't think that at this point the central part of the plot is going to be overcrowded. Especially since his radishes aren't going to last much longer. Here in kiddie pool number 3, I got Falstaff and Dimitri, Brussels sprouts, candied charm cauliflower, and a Falstaff Brussels sprouts. Wow. And they actually seem to be doing pretty well amongst all the weeds, but I'm afraid they're going to be a disappointment in the end, because this is zone 9A and it's gonna be getting hot very soon, and it'll stay that way until Halloween or so. And the sun's trying to come out. There's the quinol strawberries, still wet. They got a good drink this morning. This is an attempt to sprout some passion vines. Kind of doubtful, but thought I'd give it a try. The seeds didn't cost much. You can see my estimated germination date range is almost a month away if they do sprout. These are Walla Walla Washington sprouts. And Carnival sweet peppers. It's a mix of different peppers, sweet peppers. Over here, got 2 different kinds. I planted 8 of each. Most of them sprouted. The Tangerine Dream and Sweet Thing. And they seem to be coming along okay for the most part. What's this? Oh, cat's got a new planting of catgrass. Hasn't sprouted yet. Just put it out. This is the kiwi, Arctic kiwi. It is growing. As you can see, it's spreading its little tendrils around, or vines. I guess tendrils the right word. And part of my drip irrigation main lines with cutoff valves to 2 different areas. One going to the main plot and the other going to the blackberries. Speaking of blackberries, one of the bare root Navajos has finally decided to spring to life and has put out some leaves. This was put in the ground bare root on March 2nd, and glad to see that it's finally decided to do something. The other ones aren't doing as well. In fact, I'm not at all sure they're going to make it. And it's still got some color on it. I might as well visit with my jade plants. It's been a couple weeks. Of course, they grow very slowly, but this one here, I keep a running record of what it's doing. And when I trim back to a stump, it's putting out little leaves. I trimmed this one pretty severely too. I left one main branch and 2 stumps, and it also is putting out some fresh leaves. These in the front are cuttings that I potted from the process of trimming, and I've got at least a half a dozen more that size that I'm going to be potting up. Let them stay out and heal up a little bit before I stick them in the ground, and they aren't ready yet. I've got to pot up this aloe vera, or some kind of aloe. These are the descendants of sympathy plant that was given to me when my father died 28 years ago. So I need to pot them up before they die on me. Yeah, they look pretty sad right now. The rain gauge filled up, went past the 1 inch mark. I'm going to have to empty this out. You see the overflow there. Rain gauge emptied, and we came out with 1.48 inches. Pretty good rainfall. Better than we've had in quite some time. Need to do that about once a week, but we're in a drought, and that has not been happening. I mentioned that I had got some drip irrigation materials secondhand. Yep, I got a whole chair full of it. Most of it I got for free. I bought a few things like this 6-inch emitter drip line. I paid for that. Most everything I got for free. And I got some more things coming in the mail. It's been ordered but not yet delivered. Tools and such. Pressure gauge, flow meter, that kind of filter, that kind of stuff. On the way. Darn sun is coming out. This is where my plants and I have a difference of opinion. I like it cool and cloudy. They obviously don't.